So we're here with the director of Price of Hope, Caroline Wanjiru Karoki. I got it.
Yes.
And she's going to tell us a bit about why she made the Price of Hope. I'm assuming, I'm not going to make any assumptions. Tell us why you made this. It's a feature. For some reason, I thought it was a short, because I don't watch all the films. You have a film selection committee, but it's a feature. Why this story?
I guess it's mid-length, arguably, and it depends who you ask. It's neither here or there, but in 2018, when I went to Kenya for a separate filming or screening event, I was showing a film, and I met the couple who's featured in here. Well, I met the lady first who was at that event, and I heard her story about what she does with her husband in Kimana, Kenya. So I felt compelled and moved by the story, but more so because these are my sisters who are going through something that I thought was old news. You know, growing up in the city, you know, I think you get, growing up in Nairobi, Kenya, that is what I mean. I think it's easy to just get in your own head, and you forget what else is going on in your backyard. So when I heard what was going on, and it was not an eradicated problem, next year, the following year, 2019, you know, when I came back, and then I thought about what do I want to do, and I said, God, I need you to tell me what to do with this gift. I want to do something, because I love filmmaking, I love storytelling, but I need it to be worth it. And I believe the Spirit of God came to me and directed me to tell this story, but to start a nonprofit, which is Taskat Sena. That's how I was able to use it to help fund a little bit. I didn't get a lot of like money, but it was just enough to get me and the DP from here, well, from Savannah to Kenya later on in the year. Because when I reached out to Dorcus and I said, hey, you know, we met, do you remember? She's like, yeah, I'd like to tell your story, because I think stories are powerful, and I'm hoping that I can do it justice, but also because I know representation matters. I would rather be the one telling you the story of my sisters in my backyard that even I was ashamed to say I didn't know. So
we can't know everything.
Yes, that's true. And for me, that's how documentary world allows me to know people, to know stories and situations I learn as even I'm working the craft. So went to Kenya, and we filmed this in November into December of 2019. It was supposed to be a short film. Got there, realized there's no way this was a short film, but also we didn't have time to go back because COVID happened. So we managed to do a lot of archival materials. We've seen pictures, and I had someone else on the other end as well in the community help gather some footage. So it ended up being, you know, more than I had imagined, and it's currently with Good Docs, which is an educational distribution company.
Very good, very nice.
So hopefully it's doing good in the world still. So
I'm curious about your background. So tell us a bit about yourself, your background.
All right,
in
now
summary.
I'm talking about myself in summary, yes.
Yes,
okay.
as it relates to, you see the acoustics is really good here. We don't need a microphone. That would be cut out. But as it relates to film.
Okay, yeah. I started.
Not your whole life story.
Right, I was born in, but I was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya anyway.
Okay.
But my background started in theater. I started on stage. Then when I came to the US, I went to theater school, and then did on-stage, behind the stage work. But I came to find out about the power of filmmaking, because then it goes beyond a community, which is what a screen can do, is you can tell the story and it's shared, hopefully make, you know, an impact. So I went to film school and got my MFA in film and television.
Okay.
So I work, right now I'm an independent contractor, I work independently, I also teach, I'm a professor part-time in Savannah, and that's where it's home base for me to make films, but I travel a lot when I go to Kenya. I have to go visit my sisters and brothers in Kimana. So, but yeah, many things. That's just one of the things I do. Yeah.
So, are you focusing on documentary filmmaking, or have you done any narratives?
I've done narratives. Yeah, I've done narratives, whether they were just my own or other people's in some capacity. My thesis film was a short film, a narrative rather. But yes, I think documentaries has just become, it kind of found me. Documentaries found me because they're stories that have to be told authentically and raw, obviously, as documentaries do. So I found myself just continuing to enjoy the documentary world. I do like narratives too, because you know, you can still have an impact.
Oh yeah.
And entertain, yes, but you know, still tell very powerful stories. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there were many challenges, but give us like maybe one of the main big challenges you had in making this documentary.
Money. It's with all the filmmakers, but I always say, you know, when you don't have resources, you are forced to be resourceful. So thankfully, I had my DP, who for me is when I'm going into a project, I have to have two people already secured. Is the director of photography or cinematographer, and the editor, which I had. Now, both of them are white Americans, and they jumped right in before we even set foot in Kenya. So I was so honored to have allies and partners in that sense, because if, you know, for those two to be available immediately was also, I'm sorry, I got through off. I thought you were asking a question.
I am, but I want you to finish.
Yeah, when you're done.
Okay, yes. Where was I going? I did throw myself off.
Oh, DP.
Yeah, so challenges. No, okay, so thankfully, though, I mean, besides that, we had enough money to go and come back, which was just a miracle, and they housed us, so that wasn't anything.
Okay.
And they fed us. I mean, so really, I can't even say money. Honestly, it was such a natural, organic process. I enjoyed myself there. Now, and I don't want to say challenge, it was just like, oh, wow, this is another milestone, you know, when it came to editing. Obviously, besides not being able to go back to shoot again because of COVID, we had to work with what we could. But the editing process, again, because I was working with an American who doesn't know Swahili and or Maasai. I don't even know Ma. Ma is the language Maasai people speak. But so it needed a lot of extra, you know, work, or I guess process or steps to help him edit efficiently, and he did a great job. Oh yeah, he's a great editor, and I had to transcribe everything myself because I type out everything, so that took months. But I mean, for me, it was enjoyable because it got me to hear, because you know, when you're interviewing participants in a documentary or any film, you really don't process everything because you're thinking about the lights. Is there a noise? Is a dog barking? Oh, let's, you know, all these things. But when I'm listening and transcribing, wow, I was just crying, because this is just a fraction of what there was. A lot of things we couldn't put here for the safety of the girls, and that's why this film is, you know, cannot be out there, because for the safety of the girls, but or any portions where the girls are shown. So that's how the challenges were mostly in post-production. But we pulled it through. But while we were there, it was just organic. Again, I think, you know, when you pray and you ask for God and He'll make a way. It might not be the way you want it, but it happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say something about Kenyan filmmakers. In Kenya, so I used to produce a series called Indigo Tongues, where I interviewed trailblazers from Africa and the diaspora. The first season was focused on women, and I interviewed Wanuri Kahio, great filmmaker. And I found out that in Kenya, there are lots of female filmmakers that are doing a fantastic job. So I want you to talk to that and talk about the industry in Kenya, and then you can take the questions.
I can speak for the industry in Kenya.
Oh, what you know? Yeah.
I mean, it's grown. The industry has grown, and it's great to see young male and female filmmakers and artists coming out from Kenya, from Wakanda, from Africa, you know. So they're telling, we're not monolithic, meaning we can't all be in a box. So when they tell stories that could be sci-fi or could be, you know, horror films or documentary and impactful films and comedy. So I think it's good to see that we've embraced filmmaking as a career choice, which
Mm-hmm.
I can speak, I think, for the entire African continent. That was not always the case.
Yes, yes,
So I think what has the technology has done, it has allowed people to own their own story. You know, now you no longer have to go and spend gazillions of dollars or shillings or whatever you want to call the currency on equipment. You know, I always say, my students ask me, what's the best camera? And I said, the one you have. The cell phone.
The
That's
cell
your
phone.
best
Yeah,
camera.
yeah, yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
matter what you have if you can't tell the story. It doesn't matter what you shot it on. You know, so I think for me, I'm just very proud to see a lot of my brothers and sisters telling internationally celebrated stories. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But there seems to be a big Afrofuturism movement in Kenya. And I always wondered about that. Sorry, William. Because in other parts of Africa, we don't focus on that. I'm curious, do you have any idea why Kenyans seem to be very focused on Afrofuturism, even in the music and in film? And even when I met Wanuri, her first short was about Afrofuturism.
I know, I loved it.
Yes, yes. I can't remember the name though, because we've shown
Pumzi.
Pumzi. That's
which
it.
means air.
Pumzi. Yes. So, do you have any thoughts around that? Why
I mean,
Kenya in
besides
particular?
that, we are trendsetters.
Oh, then let's start that because Nigerians. What are we then?
You guys got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
music, and you guys have been doing films, yes, but you know, we trend in other things,
Yes,
set
yes,
trends
yes,
in
yes.
that way. I mean, that's the only thing I can say is
I'm very curious
I
about
don't-
that.
you
though.
know,
I'm extremely curious about that.
that's a good question. I've never thought about that, but I just know that we go outside the box, like we push the envelope. And I know the filmmakers who are in Kenya, and even those who are in the diaspora that are of Kenyan descent. I mean, you know, we're always looking at, okay, how can I make this my own? How can I make this entertaining? And how can I also, because Pumzi, which you're saying you're referencing quite a bit, is, you know, it's a short, it's very entertaining, very well done. You know,
Yeah.
it's unique in the way it was told, but it has a powerful message. So you can tell, you can do all that,
yes, it does,
you know?
it does.
So, and yeah, but I love that short. That's definitely, it's been a while since I've seen it and see it again.
Okay, so question quickly.